The economy is losing momentum in the US. Actually, in the first quarter, we saw an economic growth which was hardly 0.2%. This is very, very weak. Now, the reasons given for this was, on the one side, a first quarter where we had a polar winter, and on the other side, we saw a strike of the ports of the West Coast. Now, we have to understand that the US has been in an expansionary cycle for the last 6 years. And recently, we have seen the economic momentum fading and some patchy growth in some pockets. Do we believe that the US is a whisker away from the recession? Well, we question this. In the US, we saw actually the April retail figures as being very weak. The month-on-month growth from April to March was flat. On the other side, we have an employment market which is flamboyant in the US. So people are working, but they do not seem to spend money. If we look at the recent data which came out from the economy, we are convinced actually that the first quarter GDP growth will see a negative revision. We probably will go from a plus 0.2% GDP growth to something negative like minus 0.4%. The economists are currently lowering their forecast. If we take, for example, the Atlanta Fed, they predict for the second quarter a growth of 0.8%, which is far below trend. Now, on the other side, to make it very confusing, is that the US dollar has been rebounding, so corporates probably see a strengthening of their benefits. We have a flamboyant employment market, as we already mentioned, and we have seen credit growth was tremendous. It was probably the strongest one since July 2014. The Fed has a very difficult decision to make. Many market observers believe that the Fed will hike rates late this summer, actually in September. Now, what we have seen is that the first and the second GDP quarter of, I would say, far below trend. So the Fed has to be very, very careful not to kill any economic rebound, and they are very much aware of that. Fed chairwoman Yellen clearly says that this will not be a mechanical decision, but it will be purely data-driven. So we believe anybody would be foolish to hike rates if the economic momentum is fading. We watch very carefully what's going on in the States. And we come to the conclusion that the US will not have a recession. We have seen in the US actually 6 years of an expansionary cycle, which was very long. And we, at the moment, witness the economic momentum fading. From that point of view, we don't know if the Fed will raise rates. Because of that uncertainty, we recommend our investors to stay away from any interest rate sensitive investments.